Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So, weather, crazy flooding all over the U.S. right now, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So, we're going to discuss that. We're going to show you lots of videos on that. Are we looking at Tartaria? All right. So, Tartaria was a ancient civilization in Russia, that area, and it was all over the world. And we're seeing they were advanced. I'm gonna give you a little video on that so we can kind of like get a little rundown and see what's going on. But yeah, it's quite intriguing, all of the things that are going on right now. So let's look at this. We'll start off with not that. So let's stop that. Sometimes I think I can do the whole screen, but it says it just does not work. So we're gonna have to piecemeal this. All right, so Tartaria. What is Tartaria? So we'll get a little piece of that, and then we'll see there's underground cities throughout America, and because the mud floods basically buried cities, and this was, I think, something that was kind of like what we're seeing right now, manipulated with the weather.
Welcome everyone. In today's video, I am going to discuss the mind-blowing Tartaria, a lost civilization which seems to have been forgotten or erased. Tartaria was apparently once where a very spiritual and technologically advanced civilization existed. It was well known as the Golden Empire and covered most of the Northern Asian continent. Originally, a location had been ruled by the Tatarski Velakani mighty giants, who were essentially from the Aryans. Tartaria was a huge landmass and would have still been the largest today if the mud floods had not destroyed everything. During October 1586, the civilization of Tartaria, which means strong place, was established. But over many centuries, the unity of that civilization then fragmented. After December 1922, Tartaria was then made into separate republics. On the 18th of April 1627, the famous Dutch cartographer known as William Blair completed his map of Tartaria, which clearly showed how massive the expanse of the Tartarian civilization was. The map showed Tartaria reached the borders of China and Mongolia. This incredibly advanced culture used free energy systems, grandiose architecture that still exists to this day.
Free energy systems and grandiose architecture would still exist to this day. So we've been hoodwinked, throughout time, guys. And this is definitely, I've been studying this for decades now. This is a real thing. But most people have no clue about this. And I remember when I started talking about Tesla a couple decades ago, everybody's like, the group Tesla, the rock band Tesla. And now everybody knows about Tesla. So I think that we can, if we start to share this information, become aware that there have been advanced civilizations with high tech, spiritually advanced and so forth, with high tech in the near recent past. So this is not that long ago. And some of this, like he's saying here, a lot actually of this architecture still exists. The world fairs, if you look back in time, you see how grandiose they are. And then they just blew everything up after the World Fair. It was basically, and you see massive buildings and dirt roads to the buildings, mud flood. And they just like seem to have come out of nowhere. And there's no one in these towns. And there's like these massive buildings. And there's like, yeah, we just built that. No, you didn't. You would need a lot of technology to build something like that, and you built it on mud flood roads. So it's a great information. I highly recommend, if I know some of you have already gone down this rabbit hole, but if more of us can go down this particular rabbit hole before we get mud flooded, because they're definitely mud flooding around the world right now, and right now. and they have been for several years now with these massive hurricanes and floods and so forth. So we're going to look at some of this, and we're going to look at the earth changes that seem to be coming. Could that be part of destroying another advanced and highly spiritual, because we are moving into a higher spiritual consciousness, or are they going to try and stop us out again?
Using the electromagnetic frequencies of planet Earth to abundantly live in Tartaria. Unbelievably, President Vladimir Putin in 2013 made Tartaria maps public, and in 2017 he also gave a map created by William Blair of Tartaria to the former president of Tatarstan.
So this map maker was blah. Is that why they say blah blah blah? They try to denigrate his name. Maybe. So that's the way they do these things. So Vladimir Putin, the world seems to be going after Russia, right? So Tartaria, and they've tried to wipe it out. They try to communize it. It still rose from the communism grave, and it's still trucking on.
Known as Tartaria. So how did William Blair have such a clear picture of this country if it didn't exist? We learn about the famous Egypt, the Persian Empire, the Ottoman or Roman Empire, but all of this history is small in comparison to the Tartarian Empire, unless it isn't true and it's just a myth or a story. But you can find too many documents to state this region certainly did exist. The landmass and territory called Tartary and Great Tartary was an historical location in northern Asia that existed between the Caspian Sea, the Ural Mountains, and the...
All right, so that's all you get, right? So you have to do more of that research on your own. So several American cities feature impressive underground spaces. Why underground spaces, ranging from tunnels and basements to large-scale complexes? Notable examples are Seattle Underground in Washington. I've seen a little bit of that. It's like it's at the street level. You can look down into massive rooms, and you can go visit that and so forth. Kansas City's Subtropolis in Missouri, Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado, Springfield Underground, Missouri, Indianapolis Catacombs. Many of you probably have seen many of these. Old Portland Underground, Oregon, Derinkuyu, Turkey. Although not in the USA, this ancient multi-level underground city in Turkey is a notable example of extensive subterranean construction and is often referenced in discussion about underground cities. Havre, beneath the streets of Montana, Raven Rock Mountain Complex, Pennsylvania, Montreal's underground city in Canada, Detroit Tunnels, Michigan, Atlanta's underground, Georgia, Atlanta underground cities. And YouTube has 30. I mean, there's so much in YouTube, guys. You just do Tartaria underground cities, 30 hidden underground cities in America, underground cities, 10 U.S. underground places you never knew existed, top secret U.S. government tunnels, 27 hidden underground cities you won't believe existed, U.S. cities with incredible underground tunnel systems, 26 hidden underground cities in America you won't believe, underground cities to 2025. So the information is there. How many of you did not even know? How many of you? Be honest. Quite a few, I would say. So now that we know that, let's look at the wild weather. Now, this happened, as you guys know, I and my family were very intuitive, and we felt very strongly it was time to get out of Florida. This happened just a few days before we left. We were like, we had the heebie-jeebies. We were like, can we get out of here sooner? But the place we're coming to here was not going to be available to the first. And so this was wild weather just slightly north of where we were in Madeira Beach, just before we left, a couple days before we left. So this video has no sound, but there were, I remember my wife and I were eating at a restaurant, and there was black clouds. And I was like, oh boy. And so you see here, basically, they're just like throwing around some mobile homes or something. And there have been water spouts like the day before, and then this. So this just kept continuing. There was like the day, I think the day or 2 days after we left, there was literally flooding into streets the city that we had left, Madeira Beach. So let me make sure I got that one. So let me see. Here it is. All right. So I got them stacked up for you. So it's gonna be fun. You're gonna like it. All right. Make sure I got that one. All right. So which one is that? That one. All right. Here we go. So this is Madeira Beach where we left. Flooded streets. All right, so this is going to continue. It's going to get worse in Florida. I see Florida getting extremely flooded, much more than has been happening. You're going to see. You're going to see, because I see that when I post this stuff about earth change stuff, people go, and I don't get a lot of views. Right? It's kind of one of those things you're going to find out. You're going to find out. Right? I'm not saying you're effing around. You're just like closing your mind. A lot of people are closing their mind to this, right? So what is going on in Alabama? There is a lot going on, not just in Alabama, but all over the place.
Facts of what happened in Alabama. So in Alabama, residents heard a loud explosion. And they're saying that this explosion is louder than anything they ever heard before. And it seems like no one's talking about it. There's no reports about it. The news aren't talking about it. And it even showed up on the radar. Take a look at this right here. Look at that right there. What is that? And they're going to act like that didn't just happen. But what was that, though? And when this happened, a lot of things shut down. Like the airport. And like I said, after that happened, no one could explain anything about it. But I want to know, what do you think is going on here?
What do you think is going on here? There are people that did the mud flood, I think, that are making things happen. So it's going to continue. Now, this is Guadalupe River, as we know, just recently flooded. If you've seen Bo Pawnee and David Rodriguez just did a show together, and you remember when we had the eclipses of the sun? There were two of them over, 2 different periods, and they crossed over Earth. Where they crossed was where the flooding happened. Unbelievable. So very, very interesting. So let's look at this 1987, what happened in Guadalupe River in 1987.
The small town of Comfort, Texas, became the scene of a heroic rescue and tragic loss. Much of the footage you will see was taped on that day by the banks of the Guadalupe River. The more than 300 children at the church camp were awakened early. The river was flooded. If they didn't leave soon, their buses might not be able to leave at all.
They come in there rushing us up and everything. Tell us get up, get packed, and all this stuff. And everybody was asking why. They said we gotta get out of here because the river was flowing over.
We started going around the corner. We wanted to go down the hill, and then water started coming in the bus and stuff. We tried to back up, but then the bus got stuck, so they made all of us get out of the bus.
And that's whenever the first wave hit us and started scattering people to different trees.
From the producer of Roots and North and South. Oh my God. It's David L. Wolper's epic of courage and survival. Based on a heroic true story by Strength. The families who pull together to save the ones they love.
It's gonna be okay.
Now, an NBC world premiere movie, The Flood.
Predictive programming. Okay. So it already happened. It already happened, just like in that movie. So quite interesting, right? And why didn't they? Because it's like one of the most flooded areas in the country. Why didn't they put sirens up there? So anomalies everywhere, and someone's puppeting, and we have to find out who the puppeteers are. Maybe the puppeteers are angry because we're onto them, and so they're going to help the world change, like mud flooded, right? So not only in Texas but also in New Mexico. All right, so I think it was yesterday New Mexico was flooding, but you're going to see many states over the course of the next several minutes are flooding.
Oh man. Yep. Hopefully hold on to it. Yep. Oh my gosh, Ollie. Oh no. Oh no. Oh gosh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh.
Oh, so your house, you have surfing surfboards, and you have house surfing. So it's going to be a lot more of that. And of course, in some places, like some people are saying, we got fires all around them. So they're setting off fires. Now, the fires are one of the problems that happened there in New Mexico. There were a lot of fires last year. They had flooding similar to this, but this was much worse. Now, why is that? Because of the fires. So they've been prepping the lands for some time for the flooding that's coming, the mud flooding that's coming. And we'll see this, because I did a Colorado River rafting trip one year, many years ago, and when we started out, it wasn't that much going on in the river, Colorado River. And it was like, I think it was 7 days that we're on the river, and really beautiful. I would go up, and there's like these tubes, like 4 tubes on the boat, big boat, and it had in the back where the captains were and the crew. They had all the boxes filled with gourmet food. So we would, pull over, and they'd cook us gourmet food, and we'd camp, and it was magnificent. But they had in the front, they had like these lines that went over the tubes, and the tubes were huge. And you could stick your arm into the tube or your hand through the tube and hold on. That's what I did. So I was one of the few brave people that went out there and did that. Well, flooding was starting to come into the river, because what happened is the rains started coming, the monsoon rains were coming, and it was starting to flood the tributaries that come into the Colorado River, and it was getting churned up, and it started getting faster and faster and more water, and like massive gushers, because when the water comes down, it hits a group of rocks that are underwater, it will shoot up like stories high. And they were trying to keep the boat in the center, and there was a thing where if you get knocked off, try and float the best. But if you went into one of those things, it would suck you down into it, and you would not come up until the river eventually spit you out, whenever that was, right? So there was some danger possible. So of course, I want the most dangerous spot, because Navy SEAL, I got to live the life of adventure, right? So I went out there on that one right furthest tube, and because of all the crazy water that was coming in, and it was like you could see the monsoons in the background, and you could see the mud coming in. It was like just churning like crazy. And up to this point, for several days, it was kind of like breezy. It was like you go down. It was like, oh, that was kind of fun. But now it was like crazy churning. So they try and steer around those big, massive, things that are blasting water up 2 stories high. And they didn't quite do that. And my tube happened to stuff into there. And the next thing I know, I'm like, hold it. I went from like dug in, like, muscular, hardcore Navy SEAL, to like holding on for dear life in the front of the boat. And one of the skippers jumped down and pulled me out. But when you have a lot of rain coming down on land that is like in Arizona desert, and then you have the Grand Canyon, Colorado River, it comes into these valleys. And then on top of that, a lot of these places that used to be farmland and cattle and all that kind of stuff are now roads and paved, backyard patios and all that kind of stuff. So the rain hits that and it just goes right down those hills, right into those rivers like Guadalupe. So that's one of the issues that's happening with this flooding. There's the landscape has changed, and then when you come in and you manufacture, rain make, try and clean up the dry land that's in a drought or whatever, and you drop crystals like that Rainmaker company did with a 15 or 25-year-old boy that's in charge of that. Sounds kind of funky to me, right? So he's the one that's going out all over the place and talking about this. So we're finally getting confirmation of the rainmakers, right? The chemtrailing we've been talking about for a long time. Of course, chemtrailing is coming from every single plane that flies, jet that flies at this point. So the rainmaker guy is like taking a lot of heat, and I guess he's been prepped for that. 25-year-old, right? So he's the expert, like talking all this up. So a lot of suspect stuff. Probably CIA guy. I'm pretty sure. And the people that have been promoting him and getting that organization going probably have super deep pockets. He's been photographed with President Clinton, former President Clinton, and a lot of other bigwigs. I think Bill Gates has been photographed with him, and so there's some serious suspect stuff going on with this stuff. Mud flooding. So Guadalupe was mud flooded, and it took out a lot of stuff, right? It's changing the environment. So we know they want to change the environment, do like 15-minute cities, and they want to make their mark. And they don't want us to be creative and make our mark. So they're trying to destruct everything that we have created and make it in their own image, like the fallen angels they are, right? So you have to, who will speak of the babies, right? So I feel like sometimes I'm speaking to babies, consciousness-wise, right? But the babies that were taken, yeah, I mean that's one of the things these guys don't care about, the psychopaths, right? We do. And a lot of people just won't go here because they don't want to comprehend that, because it's too tough. It's too tough for people with, I won't say low IQ, IQ, yeah, intelligence quotient. So very low intelligent quotient in the area of doing your own research and doing critical thinking, right? So yeah, masters at regurgitating information that they give you for a week, and you pass like tests magnificently, and you get scholarships and you get honors degrees, and but you're pretty much worthless intellectually, right? When it comes down to it. So that's what we've created in our educational system for the most part. Now, flooding in Oklahoma today is also another one. So not just Texas, not just New Mexico, but Oklahoma too. All right, so let's look at this one. So Oklahoma. So it's just spreading everywhere. Remember that one storm that went across Florida several days? That's where that flooding in Madeira Beach, you saw that. It went out and turned into a tropical storm. Didn't quite reach that hurricane strength, and then went in through South Carolina, and it started going up the coast, and it started stalling up there. Now, it's not just in the United States. It's also in Germany. It's also in Poland. So mud flooding going on everywhere.
While this Texas flooding is happening, we have snow and icy, slushy, freaking flood snow in Germany right now. What the Sam Dam is with that? Well, there's a lot to it, actually, that could be discussed if we were on a platform that valued complete and utter transparency revolving around freedom of speech, but this is not the case, especially if I make the claim that this weather could be something...
Wait, those people are in shorts. So, I don't know. Is that snow or is that slush or like, what's hail? So I don't know. It could be hail, but looks like snow.
Other than just the result of climate change. Comment Rumble below and I'll send you a link to my Rumble live stream channel. We go live talking about this stuff. Free speech, free to watch, free to join. Comment Rumble, check your DMs, make an account, turn on live notifications, and follow me there so you don't miss it.
There you go. So now this one is really, really good. And it goes back a long time. And it goes back to the 15-minute cities that they're trying to create because they want green energy, right? So if you have coal that's very cheap and everybody wants it because it's cheap, and you're trying to do like solar power and you're trying to do wind power and you have really cheap coal, you might want to mud flood it, right? You might want to do that. And in Kentucky, that is exactly what they're doing.
At Dix's Dam in central Kentucky, and they're still open. Officials believe this dam release along the Kentucky River corridor will be worse than the Great Flood of 1937. They're getting rid of the coal mines. Kentucky is transitioning from coal to renewable energy with plans to repurpose former coal mine sites for solar farms and pump storage hydroelectric facilities. They've had plans. Global coal demand is expected to decline in the coming years with advanced economies like the U.S. and Europe seeing sharp drop.
Now, you know that President Trump likes cheap energy because that brings down inflation. It makes more energy available for everybody that needs it. And a lot of people that once it goes up, they can't afford it and they can't use that energy. They start to cut back. So if you have cheap energy, you have an expanding economy. And this is something the mud flooders don't like. So Trump came in and he's like, dig that coal. And he opened up a lot of stuff in Kentucky and Pennsylvania. And so they're fighting back the war against us.
Consumption. Now check out what this Great Flood of 1937 did. It devastated Kentucky, particularly Louisville, submerging nearly 70% of the city and forcing 175,000 residents to flee. In today's money, it was $3.3 billion in damages. But guess what? Following the 1937 Great Flood, the coal industry in the Ohio River Valley, a major coal-producing region, faced significant challenges, including infrastructure damage, disruption of transportation, and economic hardship for miners and communities relying on the industry. They're erasing you. These are the maps, people. This is how much water is being dumped on Kentucky. You can look at any government map, any map on the web you want, and all the counties in the maroon color are the coal-producing counties of Kentucky. Dunzo. They're flooding the mines. This storm's been sitting over the state for 4 days. Cloud seeding, anyone? And to open 10 floodgates at a dam and they're still open, the whole state's going to be destroyed. But hey, this is all alleged. What do I know? Prayers for Kentucky.
All right. So, and anyone trying to stop that? Anyone trying to stop the people doing this? Anyone even know anything about this other than you guys? Right. So it's going to continue. So Arkansas also flooding, and let's look at flooding that's going on in Arkansas. Now, this is Fort Smith. When we went across country, we decided to take the upper route because maybe we felt there was going to be flooding in Texas, but we went through Fort Smith. We actually stayed in Fort Smith one night, several nights ago, and now it is flooding. The roads, I-40, are closed in a lot of areas. I don't know if it still is, but highway, the major highway, closed. So the flooding actually is supposed to pick up and get worse the rest of this week. And then next week, it's going to get even worse. Next week, we're going to get colder temperatures and more flooding. So it is definitely not over. Now, this is in Arizona, Havasu. Look at the flooding that's happening there.
Observation near the Grand Canyon. The tribe there says no one was hurt in this week's flooding, but this is a good reminder. You may remember last year a hiker was swept away, died in a flash flood. So everyone needs to keep an eye on the forecast, wind in the canyons, and if you hear of any storms coming, immediately seek higher ground. Take a look at this video. This is new.
So yeah, similar flooding like I was describing. Now we made a stop and we're going to have a little lunch and we're going to swim in this one stream. So we're going to get in the stream and walk up a little ways in the stream and then, get out and picnic. Well, we come to the point where we're going to get in the stream. A couple people were just about to step into the stream. And then we heard screaming further upstream. Remember how I told you how the rain was falling back, further away from the canyon? Well, it was dumping pretty good, evidently. And some people were up in the stream, which was a really nice area to go and swim in the water and hike around and camp and eat lunch like we were going to do. And so we went all stop, and our boat captains, once again, were like stellar. They said all of us to get back. They had, fortunately, because they're used to potential flooding, we could see people in the water, just probably like people in, the water there in Guadalupe River were coming down, and they were going to get swept right into the Colorado River, which was, flowing pretty hard too. So they made some lines real quick, got some lines out and rescued all the people that were in the water. It's like 5 or 6 people or something like that. And they got some kind of award for that. But, good thinking on their part. Everyone's going to have to be quick thinking these days. So you saw that in Havasu. It's going on. It's going to be happening everywhere. Everywhere. Even here in Lake Tahoe, just before we came here, there was a freak storm that collapsed a boat. And there were people that were saying that there was some very suspect water. The water was vibrating, and there was this noise, kind of like harp. That was happening before the storm came in. So you're gonna have to be heads up wherever you're at, guys. We were heads up, and we got out of Florida just at the nick of time, and we got here after there was a problem. So will there be problems going forward? Probably. Will we be able to, shuck and jive? Probably, because we're all intuitive. And I think most of you guys are. And if you're not, I have intuitive courses, right? Go to my website and get into some of those courses. So those courses are I think they're up to 7 years old now. Remember in the old days, you had to go to find someone that would do these types of courses, remote viewing and intuition and remote influencing, so forth. That's the way I learned it all. And now you can do online courses. I've had people that have, like my online courses now are very generously priced. When I was offering them, years ago, I was getting a lot of money for them. And now they're lower priced. You can get all of them for a very nice price, everything that I have. And it's going to teach you what you need to do to survive, really. Have the right mindset, how to do research like this, probably intuitive research, because I just go intuitive mode and a lot of the stuff comes. Now, the stuff I'm sharing with you is from someone on my team that shared with me. So this, we work as a team. I work with you. I help you, overcome a lot of this stuff. So yeah, it was, 7 years ago when I did these courses, and there was massive interest in it. I really haven't promoted them that much, like I probably should. So the price of probably the intuitive course and the remote viewing course is the price that you could get all of the courses now. So it's very generous. If you haven't gotten into intuition, learning intuition, it's very simple. Like I said, there's people that have done my courses and have done other courses, and they paid thousands and like $4,000 just for a remote viewing course. All right. So it is, in my remote viewing course is like what, 135 or 45, 49 or something like that now. So it's very, very easy to do the remote viewing. I did a one-on-one with a woman, right? I think like 5-6 years ago, something like that. And she was amazing. I was teaching her basic stuff. So if you go in and you're not getting the basic stuff that I teach, keep going, right? Because she was advanced. So I'm teaching her the basic stuff, and she was like, she wasn't getting it. I was like, what? And so that was the stuff that I had learned, the basic stuff. And she's like, well, you do it. And I did the basic stuff, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, she's advanced. I'm advanced. I can't dumb myself down to do some of the stuff now. So I was like, okay, let's go out here and let's do the more advanced stuff. So she crushed it. I mean, she was amazing. And of course, I was doing the advanced stuff with her, and I was like, you seeing this? So how about this? I saw this, and she was like, yep. And she had an amazing experience. So sometimes it's good to have one-on-one to have the teaching, but the courses are basically outlined, so you're not having to travel and pay the expense of traveling, having to pay the expense of which every time I did a course, most of the expenses were traveling, getting hotel rooms, eating, and so forth in other places. Now you can do it at the comfort of your home. Those people that have, everyone that buys a course still has access to the course, for as long as I'm still alive, I guess those courses are going to be there, right? And maybe even longer. Who knows? I don't see how they would be taken down. But if somebody's not there paying the whatever expense it is to keep those online courses going, probably that's why it would go away. But they're very I think I've had thousands of people that have done those courses at this point. So there's a lot of remote viewers out there. And for a while, I had a group of people that were doing the remote viewing, and we were having exceptional success. So it is a good course if you're interested. If you're not, good luck. Good luck going forward. Right. All right. So let's look at, I think this is Poland, Krakow County in Poland. Some flooding going on there. So flooding everywhere, not just in the U.S., but also in Europe. And so what else could be causing this? So just recently, there's a major reversal in ocean current detected in the Southern Ocean, Antarctica. So things are afoot. So if this is like the first time, at least in our known history, that this has happened. So we'll see, what this is going to translate to.
I don't know why it's not being reported more, but there has been a major reversal in ocean circulation in the Southern Ocean, meaning that in the Antarctic there has been a sudden salt surge causing the ice to melt at a rapid pace. This is happening right now. For the first time, the current has reversed. This has never happened before, and they are witnessing it right now, and I don't know why it's not being put out there. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, save this video. Just go ahead and put into Google, look up major ocean current reversal. Okay, so this is serious news, and I don't.
All right, so it is out there. There's lots of articles out there. Here's one of them, and this is what is this? NPR. I think they're trying to do away with NPR because they're spreading disinformation, but this is true. The ocean's currents are shifting. Why? A warming climate doesn't just affect dry land; it affects the oceans too. Now, the oceans basically control the weather. So if we're having a reversal here, maybe that's going to affect the weather even more than it is already, getting crazy. For many years, the Earth's ocean has acted as a heat sink for climate change. A large part of the heat generated by human use of fossil fuels. So bullshit. That's NPR, like I said, putting out bullshit information because we're going into a global solar minimum. Right. All right, so the volcanoes are warning us what's coming. So let's touch on this, and we'll touch a little bit more on the weather. So, and maybe while this is playing, I'll pull up the U.S. geological map and see what's going on with.
Stefan Burns here. We have had some breaking developments occur just in the past few hours, and it involves two volcanoes in the Americas. And this is a very interesting situation.
Now watch the pronunciation of these two volcanoes. So obviously we're having issues right now with water. And look at what he says about these two volcanoes.
Which is why I'm covering this as soon as I can. Late night here on the East Coast is 11:19 p.m.
So I reported this yesterday. I was on it early because I feel this stuff coming. We're gonna get some major activity here in the United States and around the world. But it's again. I did that video yesterday, and that was like the headline on my like where the information about the video and the title, and that didn't get a lot of views. So like I'm saying, people don't care about this, but they're going to find out. They're going to find out the hard way. And when stuff gets really bad, they're going to go back and see all these videos I've been posting for a while, and then we'll get up to speed.
July 8th, 2025. There has been a new earthquake swarm at Mount Rainier started today on the 8th. 200 plus earthquakes, the strongest being a magnitude 2.1 now. That occurred at 21:56 Universal Time. And these are all very close to the caldera just underneath the surface. And this is the largest earthquake swarm that's occurred since 2009. So magnitude 2.1 isn't that big of an earthquake, but that is in that magnitude range that we typically see for volcanoes. And so this is showing that Mount Rainier is waking up to some degree, and why it's sending us this signal remains to be seen. Is it going to erupt? Probably not. Last big eruption was around 1450 AD. Though there were some eruptions also in the 19th century, a lot of eyewitness reports. And if Mount Rainier was to erupt, the big concern with this, like a significant eruption, is that it would create pyroclastic flows that go out on all sides. But more so than that, because there's so much snow and ice here, it actually melt that and create lahars. And they've estimated that these lahars will drain all the way out to the Puget Sound. So that would be very devastating. So
the other one is down in South America, and it has a water name as well. So we're gonna move over to this other broadcaster that talks about the lahar that could come from Mount Rainier, right? And it's like you see here, Vesuvius volcano has given us a warning. So this is the latest dangerous blessing will turn into tragedy in Italy. So Italy is really waking up over there. I think there's a very good possibility we're going to have a super volcano in that area. Massive earthquake swarm, Mount Rainier, and Silky goes into basically what that's going to look like.
Because it poses such a great threat to the surrounding communities. Tacoma and South Seattle are built on 100-foot thick ancient mud flows from eruptions of Mount Rainier from millions of years ago.
The summit is very cold, lots of snow, glaciers, ice, and when it eventually erupts, that is all going to melt very quickly and head towards these towns below.
Whoa! Earthquake swarm at one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the U.S., the volcano that worries the scientists by that.
So I've been up to Mount Rainier. It's very beautiful. And as you saw there were volcano evacuation routes. The children that are in the schools there, they actually, which is good, they do drills of going to safe grounds. Because as you see here in this is basically lahar, like he was talking about, and Silke is talking about. Basically, these are tracks that go all the way down to Puget Sound, and the town of Puget Sound. There's towns all along the way, so the children are learning how to evacuate into safer ground, and then there's others that decide they're going to shelter in place. That would not be good. Shelter in place, you're going to be cemented forever, and wherever you're sheltering in place at. Because these lahars, basically, when they go down, when they dry, it's like cement. It's crazy, and they were talking about how these towns are built on ancient lahars, which are mud floods, right? That have gone down from the mountains, from the volcanoes, and they wipe everything out. We've seen some of this that happened recently in Switzerland, where a glacier broke free and created a massive lahar that traveled down within seconds. Fortunately, they saw it coming. They deserted the town, and the town was completely wiped out, almost completely. So, and that town had been there like, I don't know, 400 or 500 years. It was an old town. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't care how long you've been there or when was the last eruption. We're getting to the point where this is getting very real, where this is going to happen. Of course, we have psychopaths that can use their, technology to create storms on a great level. Use the HAARP to influence volcanoes, earthquakes, and so forth. So it wouldn't surprise me if they use something that's starting to ramp up and give it an extra push, and then really cause a serious disaster. So yeah, there's definitely the idea among a lot of people that we're getting closer to potentially a massive 9/11 type event that's on a far greater level. I think it's going to use Earth change activity to pull off something like 9/11. So we've had some people that have predicted this is coming. I predicted it's coming. There's a lot of people out there predicting it's coming, and the timing is the thing. So will it be something 10 times greater than 9/11? I think it could be a lot more. I think it could be 100 times greater, actually. But and the loss of life will be catastrophic. So if you get one of these things happening, it would super volcano going off and just blasting, especially in Italy, where everybody's like right on that super volcano that's about ready to go off. We would see millions of people perish very quickly. And then, of course, the meteorologically, with all that ash in the air, it would cool everything down. And of course, the Chinese own all the farms here in the United States. Although they just passed a bill, I think, or they want to pass a bill to limit Chinese from buying, but are they going to like take the land back that they already have? So you got a massive event where it's very hard to farm. The Chinese own that land and they don't till it because they own it and they just want to starve us out. There's a lot of things afoot, guys. A lot of things that are out there happening. We need to be very aware of the things that are going on. So let's look at a little bit more of the coming weather. The weather is going to get worse, and we're going to see that.
Our weather is going to completely change by the time we go into next week. We still have this big cold front coming through, bringing a big below average anomaly all the way across the U.S. At the same time, it's going to create problems. It's going to create convection and storms along this front, bringing more threats for flooding, which I'm showing is true for what I showed you for the Mid-Atlantic. For today, you're in a moderate level risk for flash flooding. But like I said in yesterday's video, this is going to bring us more threats for formations along the East Coast and the Gulf. Now we have an area to watch. Plus what happened in the last 24 hours. It's just been out of control and just crazy. So unfortunately, I have some updates for you, and they're not good updates, everyone. Texas. Now the total amount of people that has died in Texas is 111, with 160 still missing in Texas. Also, it's not just that one. We have other stories. Also, weather warnings gave officials a 3-hour and 21-minute window to save lives in Kerr County. But if any local officials got those warnings, and if so, whether they activated in any meaningful way in those hours remains a black box, everyone. Also, flooding in Mesquite, Texas. So there's other places in Texas that has been getting flooded. This is within the last 24 hours. Everyone, more flooding in Texas. The flooding in North Carolina. Now we have 2 confirmed dead in North Carolina with 2 people still missing. Plus Chicago, they had 5 inches of rain come down in the last 24 hours. Multiple roads and viaducts in Chicago have flooded. Water rescues are ongoing. New Mexico is having some serious flash flooding issues as well. Now, unfortunately, 3 people was confirmed dead in New Mexico, everyone. They got 20 feet of water in 30 minutes, and they have a 3-year cloud seeding contract to help out with the drought. But this is too much water. Also, Arkansas has some serious flooding. Just everywhere is flooding. Also, Oklahoma, where evacuations are taking place, everyone. There's so much flooding going around the country right now, it is unbelievable. And when this front comes down, it's going to bring more dangers of heavy storms and more flooding, everybody. So for your temperatures for today and for tomorrow. For today, you're going to still be at 110 to 115, maybe even all the way up towards 118 degrees over here across the Southwest. While you have these 90s still building all the way from the south, all the way towards Canada, and over here along the southeast, going to be in the 90s. Matter of fact, with the heat index value, you're going to still showing as we go into Monday and all next week. We have this cool down coming through, but unfortunately, as this cool down comes towards the central and the eastern U.S., the western U.S. is going to raise up in heat from that big high pressure just revolving around. You see, as you go through for Monday and as you go in through Tuesday, it just digs in even deeper. All these colors represent this down here. All that green is anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees below average temperatures. Once you get to that purple and the pink, you start going to that 20 or 30 degrees below average. And you see it does go across Manitoba, Canada, into Ontario as well. Look how you go down for Wednesday. It goes down even further. Thursday, even further, and Friday and Saturday. Now, once it comes down...
Yeah, Thursday all the way down into Tejas. And, that's going to be quite a round trip for people of Texas, because they're going to get 100-degree temperatures, and they're going to get probably 60s and maybe even less. So that's some of the things we're going to wild weather. It's going to continue herky jerky until we move into more of the grand solar minimum. So we're on a long slide down as far as sunspot activity. We get spikes, but over the last several years, it's been going down, down, down. So we're not, completely in what would be scientifically termed global solar minimum, but we've been moving in that direction, and it's supposed to come in to be a scientific global solar minimum by 2030, right? And we know the WEF and all those guys, they want everything changed by 2030. That's their plan. They have a 2030 agenda, just like they had the, Agenda 2020 or 2021, whatever the hell, where they had the COVID coming in. So all of these things are planned out long term. Do we have any say? It doesn't seem like it, does it? They just manipulate the hell out of us because they have the high-tech weaponry and so forth. And the fact that it's continuing, guys, means that there is not a group that can completely take them down. So there's been a lot of talk about, when the consciousness reaches a certain point, when enough people wake up, you reach a certain point, and then you make the difference. So that's why we do the shows. That's why I am so frustrated sometimes that it seems to be moving so slow with people waking up. But it is moving to a gradual and increasing wake up.
Oh, but this is all thunderstorms. You see this with GFS as well, showing as this comes through, we could get some low pressure building up in the Gulf and maybe bring some kind of threat with that. So far, we're not seeing a big threat, but as you see this cold front come through, could be blocking any northward travel, so it could stay in that Gulf a little bit longer, but definitely going to get revolving around clockwise from the high pressure and swinging that towards the west, where it could be bringing an issue towards Mississippi, Louisiana, maybe even Texas. So we do need to keep our eye open on the Gulf.
So you saw back there, it's right. Let me pull it forward a little bit.
Mississippi, Louisiana, maybe even Texas.
Look at those purples that are over there. And so it's going to go hot, just like the central U.S. and it's going through hot right now. And then it's going to go to ridiculous cold. A lot lower temperatures are going to hit next week. And a lot of areas probably set some records for low temps. And then that's going to happen after this area gets hammered by high heat. You're going to get cold or cooler weather in the west. So it's going to be back and forth, just like this, back and forth. It's like, the pendulum goes back and forth, and it's got that blade on it, like the pit in the pendulum, and you see it coming closer and closer, and you can't get out of there. So it's going to cut you. At some point, a guy like me comes along and says, all you have to do is roll to your right. But not when it's coming at you, when it goes away from you. Now roll right. And you roll right, and it's like you're safe. So that's the intuitive process. You'll know that. You won't have to have a guy like me tell you.
Keep our eye open on the Gulf. So by the time we get to Thursday and Friday, we're going to start having chances for low pressure to build up along the Gulf and the East Coast. And as you go all the way into Saturday and Sunday, we have an area of watch over here in the Gulf. So far, it's at a 20% chance. I expect this to form right up the southeast as well. I expect the whole area to have a 20% chance, maybe a higher chance in the Gulf. This is from the 16th through the 22nd. So
we're just moving into that zone where those big storms are going to start to pop, right? So the off of Africa, off the Sahara, at some point that dust that's coming across, that's stopping out everything. They're just doing that so the water can get warmer. So once the water is like super hot, because we're having these these anomalies where it's getting super hot and cool, super hot, cool, and the water keeps going higher and higher and higher. And then we have the water shifting. The currents are shifting. That's going to cause the water probably to do some anomalous heating process. And it's going to be like super hot. You're going to get super hurricanes. Super hurricanes are coming.
It's still showing we're going to stay in this pattern after this. And then our August is going to pop up from the MDR and the Caribbean, still showing some strong lift, some very much favorable environment pushing through. So as you look through all the way from the 14th through the 20th, you see how we get this front right here coming through. And this is where you get favorable environment where something can form up. as you go a little bit further, all the way towards.
We're going to get very favorable environment, and it's going to be like super favorable, not very. It's going to be super favorable, and that's when it comes. All right, so Weatherman Plus, I love this guy. He says a prayer at the end of every one of his shows, so highly recommend you follow him. He's a great guy, got a big heart, and shares some really good information. He's been like spot on. He's got some intuition going on, right? He's tapped into God. That's what intuition is. That's you're tapped into God. All right, so I predicted stuff, and I go over and look at him, and he basically just science maps it out. I'm like, that's nice. All right. So now it's like, it's not like this crazy guy that's like predicting stuff off the top of his head, you know. Then you got something to back it up. So we're like one, two, boom, boom. It's good. It's a good mix. All right. So it continues. More information coming out. Texas flood death toll rose to 119 on Wednesday as worries grew that the figure could more than double, with over 160 people still reported missing. So officials in Kerr County, the epicenter of the flooding, on Wednesday confirmed 161 people known to be missing in the county. So it's not getting better there. It's going to get worse. And they're having flooding, as you saw, in neighboring counties and everything. So I think Friday there was supposed to be Thursday. I think there's supposed to be more flooding for Guadalupe River. So that's gonna impede recognizing and finding people that are missing, unfortunately. And that's the way they work this stuff. Because some of those people that are missing probably got snatched, little girls. So there's 28, I think, little girls are still missing, and counselors from that camp. So we all know that there's funky stuff they do, human trafficking and so forth. So they often use these events to do some of that. All right. Here's more. It's for you guys in the big cities. It's getting a little more hectic for you.
Teen immigration hearings, then detain people after their appearance. Well, this isn't the first time.
So this is San Francisco. They're really coming after the ICE agents. I guess attacks on ICE agents has risen. I think it's 400% or something crazy, probably a little bit more, 400% increase in attacks on ICE agents. And we also have President Trump that came out and said, and he was like shaking his head and saying, they want our ICE agents to unmask, and they want to be able to let the protesters mask. This is not a good world we're in right now, right? We have some very corrupt people that are, while we're having this crazy mud flood stuff going on, we also have these people that are trying to start riots to tear down and corrupt their cities and so forth.
Met with protesters. Today's confrontation was much more aggressive on both sides. NBC Bay Area's Tom Jensen joins us live from San Francisco with the details captured on camera. Tom.
They sure were, Janelle. This was unlike anything we've seen out here before. We've been here since the beginning of June. This was a physical confrontation that pushed through the streets of the financial district for several blocks, ended with a gun drawn, and it all started in that doorway right there. Protesters blocked the courthouse doors as ICE agents attempt to remove a man they've detained inside. A man worked.
So these guys are wearing Palestinian, I forget what those are called, but the headscarves, and so there's lots of different things that they want to do protest wise, and they just kind of filter all of them in. So the Palestinian protest, stuff, that didn't go over so well. So they're like, just come over here and protest on this one now. So that you're going to see a mix mash of a lot of these protesters, because they're all paid, most of them anyway, and some of them are trained, and some of them are just paid, right? So they just show up, and eventually maybe they work their way up and get more money for causing more mayhem.
Who had just appeared for a routine immigration hearing. They forced their way through the protesters and pushed the man they're detaining into a van. But the crowd moves with them, including several protesters who threw themselves on the hood of the moving van. As some agents climbed into vehicles, others walked from one courthouse to another with protesters following step for step. As agents reached the second building, another confrontation, including an agent throwing a man to the ground, and then a gray sedan pulls up. The crowd dispersed after that federal officer.
All right, so now guns drawn now. This is next level. So that opens the door for them to bring guns now. So this is going to accelerate.
Out carrying what appears to be an assault rifle. A man who has been operating an information table for migrants outside the courthouse describes the chaos.
You could just see the ICE guys going wild with the batons and like pushing through the crowd, grabbing people's bikes and using them to hit people and stuff.
Even before the larger confrontations began, a San Francisco man who was on his way to work says he was hit by an unmarked ICE SUV in a crosswalk.
Can I have his badge number and name?
He says he now plans to take that agent to court.
I was in the crosswalk. That's my zone. I was.
All righty. And you don't have right of way unless you're given right of way in a crosswalk. I've seen a lot of people step out in that crosswalk and don't look. All right. So if you're not seeing or there's something hectic that's going on out there, I don't think you have you're going to have anything to. And maybe this guy is part of the deep state bubbas, right? When we get things going really bad, step out there and sacrifice your body. It's like, I'm an old man, okay. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a dumbass liberal, probably what it is. But that's such bullshit. So if you look at what's going on in Ukraine, it looks like President Trump actually did decide to give Ukraine arms, and that came out, I think, yesterday. I don't know what those are and what's going on with that, but it is not going to help Ukrainians at all. So the Ukrainians are the Ukrainian army is collapsing. They can't get enough people to come in. Of course, there's a lot of people that are coming in and fighting for Ukraine because there's a lot of money in that. A lot of them are Polish, and so they're mercenaries. Mercenaries getting paid high money to come in and fight for Ukraine. Who's paying for that now? Where's the money coming from? Supposedly, the United States is not shipping the billions, hundreds of billions. I think we're going to find out it was trillions that they gave, that the Biden administration gave to Ukraine, our money, right, to fight the Tartarian Empire. And where is this just another, Trump movement where it's like, okay, this is, just part of what I have to do because otherwise people will go against me. So I have to play this game a little bit, and I know it's not going to affect you guys. So just keep rolling, storming over these Nazis, and we're gonna win in the long term. I think that's what's going on. So it's all just theater right now, and we're seeing a lot of theater. Some of that you just saw may have been theater. I don't know, but I think it does reach a boiling point at some point where the deep state is like, okay, now the mudfloods aren't working as well this time around. They're onto us. They're stopping us out, or who knows? All right, the Dow was up pretty decent today. NASDAQ up a little bit. It's not ready to turn down yet. maybe it just keeps going up. We had NVIDIA, the AI bubbas. At one point today, they reached 4 trillion market cap for the first time. So they briefly touched it and pulled back a little bit. So it's the highest market cap of any company in the history of U.S. Now, remember, this is the same thing that happened in the dot-com bust in 2008, 2009, Great Recession. We're seeing the same process happening once again. And we're seeing also crypto. We see all-time high in Bitcoin. It's at 111. I think it's going to hit, I said long ago, it would probably go to 120. But still, silver is performing better than almost all of this stuff. Now, if you go back a little bit further, and I took advantage of this, I talked about this. If you go back 1 year for like XRP is up in 1 year, it's up 440%. Right. So those gains are very common if you pick the right coins. I've done this many times because I'm intuitive, and I actually share some of this. And I'm not always perfectly right, but sometimes I knock it out of the park, and I did that with XRP. So XRP zoomed up, and then it pulled back. It's not going to hit. It's not going to go up that much again. You might get, I don't know, you could get lucky and get another 100, 200% from where it's at right now. Possible. But my silver is going to do much better going forward. And I'm not worried about it. XRP has been up and down, and it's like, Jesus Christ. Now, there was a time where I would pull out of it when it went down, just before it went down, and then get back into it with the money that I'd made and buy more of it. I at one time, I think I had close to 1 million XRP. So it's great when you can do that, but I've been doing this for years. I know I can tell when this market is going to go and when it's going to like go sideways and when it's going to go down. So yeah, XRP, when it goes down again, which it will, what will be the bottom remains to be seen. Bitcoin, yeah, it'll go down. Will I buy it when it goes down? Yeah, I'll buy it when it goes down because we're going to go back up again. But we're going to go through a period of time where everything's going to go down except silver and gold, right? And that's when you make incredible income, and that's where you're able to buy all that stuff on the cheap. So, and I get people like dancing around about the crypto right now, and it's like, you guys, did you not make a lot of money when it went up before? Like, did you not make a lot of money when it went up the last time? No, they didn't, because 90% of people lose money in crypto. So most people don't make money, and most people don't make money in the stock market. 90% also lose in the stock market, because probably there's a lot of people getting in the stock market right now. We're going to get a pullback at some point, just like we have the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. Only this time it's going to be a lot more downside. So go ahead, invest. Keep your investments in there. I've been telling you to get with Dr. Kirk Elliott. It's up to you. All right. So now what makes me say this? So I've been telling you guys, get out of real estate for a couple of years now. I think probably 3 years now. And this is one of the reasons why. Not that one. That's not the one. That's not the reason right there. Here's the reason. Let me make sure I hit the right window. All right. So this is the reason why. Drum roll. Condo prices make record slide as crisis hits breaking point. Does that look familiar, like back in 2008, 2009? Yes. Only this time it's going to be a lot worse. And the stock market will go down a lot worse. So condo crisis grows as 75-year-old homeowners association goes bankrupt under $50 million of debt. Experts warn more at risk. Of course, there's going to be a lot more. Miami Condominium Association. Remember last Great Recession, I think Miami condos, some of them lost 80%. I think there's going to be like a lot of that going around the country. So that's happening, and the condos go first. Now this time it's worse because we have commercial real estate, which is almost 80% underwater for a lot of places. And now we're seeing condo prices are going to start hit that as well. So let's look at some of the numbers. So it says many owners are racing to offload properties due to soaring homeowners association fees, skyrocketing insurance costs, and in some cases, hefty special assessments imposed by homeowners associations. A lot of condo associations don't allow buyers with FHA loans, which is limiting sales. And what are the as a result, they take longer to sell than they did in the past. Hence why I have been saying for years this downturn will be worse than at, I think, any time, actually. The typical condo that went under contract in May did so in 46 days, the longest for any May since 2015, and up to 7 days from a year earlier. By comparison, the typical single-family home was under contract in 38 days, the longest for any May since 2020 during the COVID crisis, and up 6 days from a year earlier. So it's starting to, just a month ago, it was a lot different. So in 1 month, this thing has fallen apart. In 1 month, it's fallen apart. But of course, I've been warning you for 3 years this is coming. Because condos are sitting on the market, listings are piling up. So this is Phoenix, Arizona, another hard-hit area. Florida and Texas have seen their housing markets slow in recent years due to an influx of supply ushered in by the pandemic home building boom. In Florida, natural disasters and heightened building regulations also contributed. 2021 collapse of a condo building and Surfside, that was dropped into its footprint, of course, just like 9/11. I talked about that on many shows. New Brunswick, New Jersey saw condo prices rise. And why? Because there's not enough inventory. So you'll see herky-jerky, just like we did back in 8 and 9, and then when the stock market crashed. And then home prices continued to go down for many years after the Great Recession, guys. So when we see something that's equivalent to the Great Depression of 1929 hit, we will see for many years later, housing prices continue to go down. 85%, that's my prediction for most home prices around the U.S. Condo prices are just going to be shit. Montgomery County, PA, it's up 14.1%. Who wants to live there, though? Pittsburgh, San Francisco, and Ocean City, all these markets are up. Condo sales are holding up best in Indianapolis. Next came Portland, Maine, Charleston, South Carolina, and Ocean City, New Jersey. And I lived in Long Island, New Jersey. That was really nice there. But you're going to see everything everywhere that's going to go down. So bank loans are going to dry up. They don't want to give to people because they know they're not going to be able to pay it back, and it's going to collapse. So that's in 1 month. The condo prices have accelerated to the downside in the key areas that they did last year. So there was a lot of people saying it's not going to happen this time. Right? This time is different. They always say that, and it's never different. And this time is going to be different only in the fact that it's going to be more catastrophic, right? So the Elon Musk ex-CEO steps down. What's going on? What's going on, Elon? You're going to have people bailing on you now because you're talking shit about Trump and trying to start your own, and I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we just need to start a new political group. Can't hurt. It's like it actually will hurt other groups. Probably hurt the Democrats quite a bit. Musk hired Yacarino as CEO. As CEO of X in May 2023 after he bought Twitter for $44 billion. So how much is Twitter or X worth now? $33 billion. So he lost $11 billion. I wonder if he's got commercial real estate too. So, but the one thing that's different is he created an AI, Grok, which is there in X. It's built by Musk company XAI, which merged with X in March in an all-stock transaction that values the AI company at $80 billion. So, yeah, he might have lost 11, but he's got a lot more. So you got 80 billion in Grok and 33 billion in X. I think he's doing pretty good. So he needed a platform, obviously, for his Grok AI. So he's a forward thinker, or someone that's puppeting Elon is a forward thinker. Elon's puppeted. He tells you he doesn't know any of this shit. It's kind of like Bill Gates. He didn't know any of that shit. He didn't know anything about computers. So will that affect X going forward? I don't think so. I think X is going to continue. If anything, it probably get better because they needed to get better. Free speech is back. It's coming back. Right? We've talked about it for a long time, and here it is. I'm on what is Grok? It's AI. So you go to X Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and there's a little thing that says Grok. It's like AI. You ask it a question, and it'll tell you that yeah, I guess Hitler's cool. So there's a little malfunctioning going on with Grok right now, and so you want a good AI to go forward, and somehow Grok is being naughty. It's saying something about Israel that's not so good, and Hitler was good, and Israel not good, Israel good. But Israel and the United States are one. I think we know that by now, right? We always thought they were separate, and Israel was controlling the United States. No, they're not separate. They're one and the same. So, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that, like the ancient tribes of Israel, the 13 tribes, are all here in America and have been here a long time. So that's very interesting. I had a discussion about that today. Major new study has just delivered another crushing blow to the crumbling narrative that COVID vaccines are universally safe and effective. And of course, I lost my YouTube channel many times for saying so. But now I guess it's okay to talk about it. Right. It was always a lot of times I would share like information that's on the internet and I get taken down because I guess, well, it's okay that's in the news, but you can't put it on YouTube because a lot of people see it. And most people don't even look at the news. Literally, most people, very, very small percentage of people actually are informed about what's going on in the world. Very, very small portion. A major new study, so I just talked about that. The study was led by some people with long, crazy names, right? Of the Connective Tissue Disease Research Center at Tabriz University of Medical Sciences in Iran. So why Iran is getting away with it, but here in the United States we can't. Maybe that's why we're bombing them, because they're trying to release this information. In one of the most comprehensive analyses of its kind, the researchers followed PRISMA guidelines to systematically comb through medical literature from 2020 through September 2024. After filtering through 715 articles, they confirmed, which is what I do. I do research, and I'm like, this sucks, this is bad, stay away. And then I have informants that tell me stuff, and I was like, don't get the vaccination. But 80% of Americans did anyway. All right. After filtering through 372 verified cases of post-vaccine autoimmune rheumatic diseases. They included vasculitis, connective tissue diseases, inflammatory arthritis, inflammatory bowel syndrome. No, I just threw that in there. And so nearly 9 in 10 cases, 87% occurred within 2 weeks of receiving a COVID injection, a median of just 7 days before injection and disease onset. Women were hit hardest, making up 63% of the cases, and the average age was 55. So mRNA vaccines, Pfizer, Moderna, were implicated in 2/3 of Nazi 67%. 2/3 of 67% of all cases. But those Pfizer came from Germany, right? And they did a lot of research over there on Jewish people. So the most damning finding was a statistically significant correlation between Pfizer's mRNA vaccine and autoimmune onset with an odds ratio of 3.25. Now, I did one of these shows a few days ago, and I talked about some of this stuff and how people are shedding, and that's one of the biggest problems. Shedding is basically when you have infections from vaccination and it overcomes your body and you shed it off, and other people get affected by whatever is going on in your body, shedding from vaccinations. So I had a gentleman that came in and said, and I think I repeated this already, but he in the chat, I was looking at the chat, and he said that he had a friend that had been vaccinated, and they did a hunting trip, and he was in a cabin with him or whatever, and he got the autoimmune disease from shedding. He didn't get vaccinated at all. The shedding is what got him, right? So he had heart problems, autoimmune disease, all kind of crazy stuff. So you got to be constantly cleaning yourself, guys. You got to detox pretty much every day. You got to detox because you're going to be around shedders, right? It's an ongoing thing. And if you got vaccinated, you should be really, taking care of yourself and cleaning yourself out. And you can clean that stuff out. I do shows about that all the time. So the authors made it clear that the findings do not indicate random coincidence. It's not a coincidence. This is science. This is the real science. Remember, they told us the vaccination was science and anything else is not science. It's bullshit. Don't listen to Michael Jaco. And so you found out, right? Those that didn't listen to me. But I've heard from hundreds, probably thousands of people that the information that I put out there saved their lives. And that's cool. So if there's I hear that from hundreds of people, it's probably like hundreds of thousands that were saved by this information. So that's good. Swimming pools are gross. Yeah. You gotta, yeah. But detoxing's good, right? So just be, still got to carry on with life to a certain extent. But maybe. Yes, Tron Master. Age reversal with GHK-Cu copper peptides. So X39, X49. And so I did a show with the inventor of the LifeWave, and I didn't think he was going to reveal. But he decided to. And this was like 2.5, almost 3 years ago, when there were still some problems, a lot of problems. I think it's still a lot of problems, but they're being hidden. And it's so far, removed from the vaccination time frame that people aren't making the connections anymore. But he came out and basically said that X39 they already did research on it, and it was reversing the effects of the vaccination. So, and I have that video on my website. So, LifeWave, MichaelJaco.com. So lots of problems. The most common triggered diseases were vasculitis, connective tissue diseases, inflammatory arthritis, including dangerous and complex conditions like ANCA, associated vasculitis, polymyalgia rheumatic. Is that? I studied Latin. I don't know about that one. Idiopathic inflammatory myopathies and cutaneous small vessel vasculitis. So those all sound bad. I don't know what any of those are. I'm a healthy guy. I don't really look at that stuff. But, those, when you get hit with something like that, you do the research though, right? And that sucks. It sucks, right? Sucks for those that get vaccinated. It sucks for those that are around people that are vaccinated, especially in the early stages. It sucks for people that are vaccinated and then get boosters at this point. It's like, at least most people, I think, at this point are like, I'm not getting any more boosters. That's retarded. I was supposed to get the one shot and it was going to be good, and now I have to get boosters. So that should have been like a big red flag for most people. And then it got to the point where you didn't have to do it anymore. Right. So they tricked a lot of people, made them agree that it was in their best interest, in their family's best interest, and grandma's best interest that they get vaccinated. And that's what a lot of people did, unfortunately. And then it's like, you want to work, you better get vaccinated. And a lot of companies got on board with that. And then the military got on board with that. So it's a mess. It's a mess. A lot of people have long-term problems, and they're not getting any relief from it because it wasn't from the vaccine. So they just have to deal with it, how they deal with it. If they got insurance, they're good. If they don't, they're screwed. And a lot of people are like that now. So that's where we're at. I covered a lot of stuff. Wow, I covered like everything. There's nothing left to cover anymore. I don't have to do any more shows. Yay. No, tomorrow will be like 100 things more to like talk about, right? We're in the shift. The shifty shift. And, every day is going to be more and more. All right. Thanks, guys. Lots of love to everyone. Thank you, TriMaster, and thanks for everybody out there that supports me. Support yourself, and get LifeWave. Go get some gold or silver. Silver's better at this point, from Dr. Kirk Elliott, and that's how I keep these shows going. All right. Lots of love, and I'll see you guys next time.